Okay, so I'm doing the back brakes on Jill's 2013 XV Crosstrek, and back pads they're done. And we had the front left axle, driver's side axle, in the front replaced under warranty, and at the time they told us the back pads needed replaced. And it's a good thing I did them today because they are done. I mean, they're completely done. I'll try to show them to you when I take them off. But I found something different. I've done quite a few back brake jobs. And usually you need a tool to spin the piston in, because even though the brakes are hydraulic, let's see, how does this work? It's like a mechanical system, and when you pull the e-brake, it ratchets that piston in. It's like a worm gear, and it spins in. So normally you need one of these to spin it back in. So the link for the caliper is mechanical, and then I think it puts pressure on a little bit of pressure on the caliper. But these are different. These pistons you don't need to spin in. So I've got a C-clamp here, and I just wanted to show you that. So I've got to do this really slowly. I'm not doing this brake job the way I normally do, which is where I would put a vacuum line into a reservoir of brake fluid, and as I squeeze this in, the old brake fluid would come back and you would get new brake fluid in, and that's kind of a way to flush the fluid out, but I don't feel like doing that, so I'm just going to do this really slow so I can get that piston back in there, and then I can replace these pads. Okay, so as you can see, that piston is back in there. I just want to give you a little caution. This line here, I can't touch it because I'm holding the camera and the caliper. It is this little guy here that goes back here. It is blue and black. Now that is for the wheel sensor, and when you do this you have to make sure that you don't bump that line. There's a Hall effect sensor in there that senses wheel spin. And these are real touchy. In fact, when they replaced the front left axle, I had some problems with the VDC coming on and the traction control. And the reason is because there got to be a little crud on that Hall effect sensor that's in there on this wheel spin sensor. And the light kept coming on and disabling things. So I had to go in and I had to clean that up. And I also had to reroute this cable a little bit. So I just want to give you a caution on that. Okay, so here's what the pads look on the passenger side and the rear. They're not down to the metal, which is good, but you can see they're almost, hopefully you can see that they're almost there. Now you don't want to let these get down to the metal, because if you do that, you're going to have metal and metal on the rotor, and you could groove that rotor, which will affect the stopping power, and you'll need to either replace the rotors, get them turned, or just chance it. Now what I don't like about these stock pads is there's no squealers on here, so that when these get low, the brakes don't start squealing, so you don't really know. Also, you can rest that caliper in a little divot back there to keep it away from the lines, and so you don't have to hold it. Okay, I want to show you something else. This is the back pad here on the passenger side rear. See how it's grooved here? Now, that's not actually from the pad. The pad wasn't designed that way. What happened is, because these rotors are old, and there's quite a bit of 60,000 miles on this car, you get little grooves here. Okay? So what happens is that pad wears into that, pushes into that groove over time, and it wears out. Now, I should probably turn these and get these lips taken off, but I'm just going to put the new pads on because I'm a lazy ass, and it's going to be noisy at first. It'll go away after probably 1,000 miles, and then they'll really seat into those rotors. So I just wanted to show you that. Now if you do this yourself, actually there's the squealer. It's on the back pad. So I take that back. Still though, I think that squealer should have a little more space on it. Now if you notice the back pad, the pad closest to the caliper piston is thicker than the one on the outside. I'm going to clean these traces out on both sides. Make sure these pads are floating freely, and then I'm going to put them back on. Okay, so the new pads are on there and the caliper's back on there. These are tightened down. Look up your torque specs for yourself. I'm not going to spoon feed you that information. I want you to find that out for yourself. So what I like to do is I always like to do one side at a time, one corner at a time. And I need to pump the brake back up and send fluid back into that caliper and check it. And I always just like to do one corner at a time. It's just a habit I got into a long time ago. So I'm going to pump this up. I'm going to do it very slowly. So I'm going to slowly push it down. And then I'm going to let it back up slowly. And again. Let it back up slowly. And again. Okay, so I have a nice firm pedal. He's firm-ish. Feels okay. So I'm going to do the other side and repeat the same procedure. Now one thing is, one reason I like to open the bleed valves open and just as I'm backing that piston back in there, squish it, let the old fluid go out instead of back into the system, is because when I was a young kid and I started doing brake jobs probably when I was 13, I've gotten a couple soft pedals in my day, and that's why I do it in a weird way. You can see on some of my cars, you'll see some techniques I do that people beat me up about, but that's why I do it. Now, especially when the brake pads are really low and that piston's really long, I think there's a lot of opportunity for dirt and crud to get back in those valves and seals and stuff, and to get a soft pedal. Still, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to take it for a ride and see how it is. So that's one side done. I'm going to do this other side the same way, and then I'm going to take it for a ride. If there's an issue, I'll let you know.